methods and patterns. He was already chair of FEUP, and he was also one of the chairs of the organizing chairs of XP. That was a great success this year in Porto. So it was a great pleasure, and he's going to talk about agile transformation of students and faculty at FEUP. Please.
Thank you. So good afternoon. Thank you first for the invitation to be here talking with you. I know your lab and Alfredo's lab as the most creative lab with an XP in the name. So I always was curious directly from Alfredo, but also from Joe, about many things we do here related with Agile and XP and so on. And I found that this topic is something that we have in common in Porto with things we do. So probably we'll start, not probably, we should start something, writing about this experience of transforming students and faculty. Faculty was the hardest part to Agile in FEUP. So that's me. So I'm from Porto, as you know, probably. This is the best picture of my faculty of engineering there. Actually, the colors are not like this, so there's a little Photoshop here. Anyway, it was not made by me, but this is the faculty. So it's only the faculty of engineering. So we have all kinds of engineering there. It's not so big as this place here. We spend like 10 minutes driving after passing the front door. So in Porto we have many campuses, and they are spread in the city. So it's completely different, much smaller. But anyway, here we have like 5,000 students, and in this area of the city we have 50,000 people either graduating or doing PhD or doing research or teaching there. So 50,000 people in 1 square kilometer, which is a very high density. We don't know it. I just read and I said, is this true? Because we don't feel it. But actually we have many kinds of places where the faculty is. Yeah, some numbers, they are not probably updated, but University of Porto we have 30,000 students, so it's the biggest one in Portugal. Although Porto is second city, Lisbon is, all students in Lisbon are much more than 30, but because they were huge, they split in several universities. So we have different names. We have the University of Lisbon, we have the new University of Lisbon, we have this and that and that. So because they spread, they are not the biggest one anymore, but altogether they are much bigger than the University of Porto. But actually this historic fact help us to be the bigger one in Porto, and because bigger means also to have many researchers, more publications and so on. So by all rankings, we are first in Porto. Not the first in the world, not even in Europe, but we are good enough. In relation to the course I teach more, so this is not me teaching, but I like the picture of teaching. It's nothing like this in engineering anymore. Usually they have, all students have one computer open, right? So it's completely different. But in our course of informatics engineering, we have, it is the best course in Portugal. So many students want our course, so that you can see in 200, it is the highest grade you can have. Our minimal, so the last student that is able to get a place is 17, so 178, which is very, very high. Engineering has been increasing in attractivity in Portugal. I don't know here, but probably it is the same. First, it was medical schools, so everybody wanted to be someone in medical area, and now it's engineering. So there are more engineers in our faculty with 182, and usually we have students that are able to enter our course with 200 out of 200. Okay? So we treat them like special cases because we want to know if they are normal or not, but they are normal, of course. But it's exceptions. This year we have one that is always surprising us in many ways. Anyway, so we attract many good students. This is good and bad, okay? So me and the other professors, we explained that the best we can do is to not damage these students. So they should be as good as they enter. Because after some courses they might get worse because of the teaching, okay? So that's a challenge. Of course, I need to do research, and I do research. Actually, I do applied research on Agile. I never wrote a paper about Agile. I wrote, but not many. In patterns, yes. But actually, the topic of Agile, I always applied Agile in many contexts, especially projects and industry. And of course, we are researching closer to that. But I'm not. I don't have many publications in Agile conferences. But although they are related, very, very related. Talking about Agile. Yeah, that's me. The topic I work is software. I'm a lead electrical engineer, so at my time there was no informatics. But I always enjoy software because I like creative processes, design, and so on. And I found in software the most flexible material to play with design. So it's so flexible that you don't see it. So it's not tangible. I found that patterns, so I like complex systems, and I like that complex systems, if you look closer, you see some similarities. And this is from Azure, of course, but I like this way of looking at something that, wow, this is really complex. But if you look closer, it's not so complex anymore. But there's a lot of elements there. I ended up joining because of I wanted to do a PhD, so because of that process, I designed of software, patterns, design patterns. So I joined, I started going to some club conferences that where we discuss patterns, pattern language programs, Euro club because it's closer to Porto, Chile club, and so on and so on. And I met many people like Joe many years ago and others. So this photo is amazing because I just found that I'm close to someone there that I worked today. So Coplin is there, Beadle is there, and only when looking at the picture again, I saw that we were this day at that picture. So these guys inspired me to do more than design. Agility was one of them. Wikis was another one. But in one Euro club, I was evangelized like other 49 people. We were around 50. By Kent Beck about XP before publishing the book. So he was testing with each one of us. Ademar Aguiar, I didn't know Kent Beck. Oh, he didn't know me, of course I knew. But so he was evangelizing each one of us about pair programming, test first, and all these kind of things before the book. So I became evangelized by this. Actually, I read the book immediately when it came out, and I was excited about that. And we organized the first course at FEUP in 2001 with Joshua Karievsky, that he was starting with that as well. Not to teach students and not to teach my colleagues, because my colleagues said, that is weird. That is XP working in pairs in one computer. So at that time, so my group of software engineers was not enjoying it. So it was too radical for them. So I started with companies, and some companies, startups and so on, they enjoy it. At that time, we did call them startups. Just small companies willing to do things better and with more success. So we organized this first workshop. Maybe this was the first step in my university, starting to transform the ideas about how to develop software. Okay. Then in 2000, same year, the Agile Manifesto came out. So now we have a name for XP, DSV, ASV, Crystal, and so on. So there were many different methodologies that were using different names for the same things. And with Manifesto, they came out with something that all agreed. So where have you been? Where were you in 2001? School? But yeah, which school? I'm trying to know how old are you.
Elementary school.
There are people with diapers at that time.
So that's why I'm doing this history. Okay, okay, cool. So some of us were during this path of, so for many of us in software, this was natural because we were natives at the time. For some of us, we were migrating to Agile. I was migrating to Agile. So, and we had different paths on that. So what's next? In 2004, the topic of Agile started being interesting for many. So I start selling, literally, courses to companies. Only companies. In faculty, nobody cares about me, okay? Or about this idea. So it took some time to evangelize them. I'm not Kentberg to evangelize people fast. So basically this was selling a lot with Eclipse, with refactoring, with this and that, so in Java at that time. So people get excited about test. Unit testing, for example, JUnit only. It was amazing to see the red and green and this kind of thing. The refactoring, wow. So small things like continuous integration inside Eclipse. Using and abusing from Subversion directly from the plugins of Eclipse and so on. So we didn't have Git at that time. Okay? So it was hard sometimes to do the source control. And after software development, managers started enjoying this. So I started selling courses on Agile project management as well. So not now for developers, but for managers, project managers at that time. So there was I did many of those. I don't know if they get the idea, literally, but actually they were not obstructing the teams to do Agile software development. So it was a kind of changing the minds of developers first in the industry, okay, and then the managers of those teams later. And finally, I decided to push my faculty, so the director of the course and my colleagues, we should teach this here to our students. So and that came this problem of new wine in new bottles. It's usually a sentence that we have. Does new wine should go to new bottles or can go to old bottles? So how good are these? For port wine, for example, we use old barrels for new wine. That works very well. But sometimes new wine should go in new bottles. Otherwise, you either destroy the wine or the bottle will destroy the wine or both together. So we started that. And I started an elective course. It's called Metodologias Ágeis de Desenvolvimento de Software, so Agile methods, basically. It was elective. And from the first day, we had many students registering. I was not, I would say, cautious about this, or I would say, I was not fearing that students will enroll or not, because if 6 will appear, that would be a success. But actually, we were able to have 24, which was the maximum. By today, this year I'm sabbatic leave, that's why I'm here happy. So I don't have classes. But this year is not happening. But every year we have 50 students. So and we don't have more because we don't allow to have more. So that people spread for different courses. And 50 in 150 students. So there's a lot of people actually interested on this, even today, not in 2005. So what happened? Okay, so in this course, basically, I started talking about complex projects. You know all of this. So this is about to be short. So that complex projects need new ways of managing them. If it is simple, it means everybody agrees with things and everybody is sure about things. We call it simple. When things get worse, we call them complicated, but still you can manage with waterfall, or sometimes we call it waterfuck. Because sometimes it's "Ah, what are you doing?" So yeah, this is being recorded. Oh, sorry. I forgot.
Going out to offers.
Yeah. Anyway, but if nobody agrees with what is about to be done and nobody is sure what should be done, so we have anarchy. Actually, I like to work in projects close to the anarchy, but in the border of complexity to anarchy. So sometimes the anarchic projects look anarchic, but if you look closer, there are some details that help you to move to complex. And there's no other way of managing them beyond the Agile methods. So I really like to work on this border. And if you want to use other kinds of methods than Agile methods for complex projects, be happy. So I'm laughing because I want it will be easy to succeed. You can succeed, of course, but you will lose much more energy. So I explained them this. It's not a law, but it's happening many times. In software, sometimes we want this. Initially we have an idea. That an idea can be 4 times the scope or 4 times less. So we can fail in a range of 16 times, which is a lot. So how we manage this scope? By having samples very often, so that we can adjust as fast as we can. So iterations, agility is key. Inspect and adapt. At that time it was, today is common in all of us, but at that time it was not an easy thing to teach to students, some students, but to my colleagues it was even worse. Okay? So I teach them that the process is something that you set up one day and you don't go home. You should be there observing many things here, how the process is going, here with a metaphor of music, the sound in the room. And there are many buttons you need to adjust, the beginning of the process, the project, and during all the process. Okay? So that you adjust the efficiency of the process or the best process for your project, for the team. Things like practices, documenting or not documenting, formalities, the style of leadership. So these are things we have buttons to activate, and you observe what is happening in terms of communication, capabilities, knowledge, blah, blah, blah. So there are many factors that we observe. Okay? So transforming the ideas of students in this elective course, 5th year, by the way. So we have 5 years plus 0 master. We call this master iterative. So there's no, I don't know what's happening here, but in Europe we have now these 3 years bachelor, licenciatura, and plus 2 years of masters. So after 5 years you should have a master. Okay? In our faculty of engineering, we decided to have a 5 plus 0. So there's one shot. There's no way out after three years that we consider. Actually, we are forced to have a way out, but the way out is you are a kind of engineer. It's nothing complete. Okay? Actually, I think you are. You have a bachelor on science of engineering, which is nothing. So nobody wants to have that certificate. So it's 5 years. So this elective course is in last year. So only then we have this mentality. Balancing discipline and agility. So Agile is good, but does it work for all kinds of projects? No. So we need to balance what we want to do, depending on the type of project, especially the criticality of the project. So how many lives we might lose if the software that controls the landing of an airplane has a bug. We don't want to think about that. So Agile there may not be the best thing. So depending on several criteria, the skills of the people, the culture of organization, the size of the team, and so on, we can be more or less Agile. So I start to pitch that to students as well. Also about what deliver next, first things first, and so on and so on. Okay, so you got the idea? So this first elective course, starting in 2005, was about testing all of these ideas in new students. So new wine. Agile is the new wine in new bottles, students. Okay, that's the, and it worked well. The students basically they learn and try out popular agile methods. They have hands-on sessions of 3-6 hours. We have real projects by groups of students, 4 students at that first year, and they coach other students on agile methods on the 4th year. And we have a final exam. So it's a mix of hands-on and theory. And it worked pretty well. Every year we adapt because every year the mentality of students were changing because agile was being spread more and more. And also some of my colleagues started to follow also these ideas and spreading this mentality to other courses in 4th year, 3rd year, and now we are doing this in 2nd year already. Not all of this, but the spirit. So the course, there's another course we have in 4th year where probably it's related. So they do projects basically. It's a lab for developing software, and basically we have projects from someone. Initially, these years it was from teachers. Oh, I have 20 teams. Let's define 20 topics for projects. So we invented projects. Today, we call for projects from social entrepreneurs. So we found that there are many people outside in the community that wants some technology that we can do easily. But it's at the same time as challenging because we need to start with an idea and conclude with a product or a prototype in 12 weeks with a real customer. Probably similar to how we do here. Okay? So this is challenging today, and it is really motivating for our students. So the course started very early, but we needed some time. So only 2007, 2008, we started moving this spirit of Agile to this course as well. Okay? Why? Because these courses were also taught by colleagues of software engineering group where I belong. So we spread the word. So it took some time, as you can see. So here probably you have a similar one. So in this course, we introduced Scrum, XP, and Agile practices. We have some lectures to empower people to use tools, to use processes, and so on. So we have live sessions where usually they do sprint plannings and sprint retrospectives, with reviews, with clients. They learn at the pace they want. We don't measure if they are learning everything first 2 weeks because we have sprints of 2 weeks, or if they are learning only in the last weeks. But we want them at the end. They should show evidence that they know about the process and this kind of thing. So we assess the maturity of the process, and these values close to 50% of the grade. So it's not the project. It's how good are them in process and practices. So we have a dashboard for that. And real projects, as I told you, no exam, and they are inside the team, they decide the grade. Usually the lazy, they decide everybody has the same grade, which is good. There are some really students that don't have more, they self-regulate the things. So how you do here in this kind of project? It's up to you. You can speak in Portuguese if you want. You understand a little Portuguese?
We have some initial lectures to just give an overview of what are Agile methods. And we have 4 hours mandatory class by week, plus 4 additional hours where the students have to organize. We start with the 12th practice for original XP, and during the course they do retrospectives, and the more important practice is continuous improvement. So they have to keep continuous improvement, to adapt the process to themselves. And we work with real projects from clients, usually from outside. And The only requirement is that if something is developed inside the course, it has to be free software,
Okay.
any license. And there's no exam, and the evaluation is done by the coach and by the students themselves. They do an auto-evaluation, and
that's it. So it's pretty much as we do. So that's why it is amazing why we never
did
put something together about this experience of
we have show in common.
Yes, we have show in common. And blogs and patterns and this mindset. So yeah, so we don't force them to do XP in this course. We started forcing some practices in second year in lab of programming with object foundation, something like that. So we start forcing them to learn how to use some practices in years before, and here it's the assembling everything. But actually, the managing of the process is what is more important in this year, fourth year. Because they have a client, they have an idea, big idea, small idea, they have 12 weeks to do it with it, nothing else. Yes.
I have a curiosity.
Yes.
Do you have a formal software engineering course?
Yes, we have.
A formal one?
Yes.
You keep
formal
it?
methods. Sorry?
You keep it? You still?
We still keep it. Okay. If the students want to keep it?
Yeah.
Is that your question? No.
No. Okay.
Oh yeah, good question. So our course, I started teaching because of this course. This was 94. Okay. And at that time, I was one of the designers. I was not the designer, but I was in the design of the course. And we decided to do functional first. So we started teaching scheme with yeah. So we start using scheme from MIT and so on. So, and what was the goal? The goal was students that came from the high school, using secondary, ensino médio. So from high school, at that time, some knew Pascal, Delphi, C, whatever. When they start the university course, first programming course, they knew already some of this. And the other poor students didn't know nothing. So we decided to make all of them nervous, okay? So nobody knew scheme what. What is the syntax? It's just brackets or some parentheses and so on. So, and it's not, there are no cycles, functional programming. So this makes a lot of confusion in their minds and actually force them to think in programming in another way. So it's like cleaning, resetting everybody to a point, and from then we evolve them from the base they have. And this was happening. This is a nice year to have that question, because this year, for the first time since then, since 94, we started Python, object functional. Yeah. There are many discussions there. I kind of like it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the results. So. It is amazing because the students, what we learn is the students that didn't know about programming before, and I know very close examples. My daughter, that's why I'm laughing, they can succeed as good as the other ones because it just started programming.
Python. When did you use
Oh yeah. So we have, that's the thing I'm not so comfortable starting with Python and then continuation. So before we had scheme first, then we had object-based, not object-oriented, so basically not using inheritance. Not teaching, they need to do it, but not teaching. Then we had first semester, so second year, first semester, we had Java and C++. So after 4 semesters, they know Then we have, of course, Prolog and so on later. But that's it. Today, with Python, what's next? It will be again C++. So it depends. But formally, object-oriented design should go, in my opinion, to first semester, but it's still in first semester. You see? So there's some confusion here. So solid principles, for example, we teach them in second semester of the second year. And for some students, it is late, they know already. For some students, they have heard about it, so they think they know, they don't care. That's the problem of, I know that, but actually, probably they didn't practice so much. And for the others, it's okay, because yes?
And nowadays, what's the percentage of what's the programming skills of the students that get with this? It's nice that programming skills, but you still have people that never program before.
It is still happening. So we did this for 6 weeks. So the semester started in beginning of September, and it will end.
You know what, the students that come to you now,
we have
programming skills, you have people that never programmed before.
So engineering it can be trendy. So we have students that, oh, I have a grade enough for this, let's try engineering. And they don't have the mindset of engineering. So, and we have also the poor students that instead of having 178 in grade, they have only 175, but they have the mindset of engineer, and they cannot get in because the others that study for medical school targeting 190 decide I cannot go to medical school, let's try engineering. So we have now a big diversity, but we are losing students with the engineering mindset, I'm sure about it. Because they are more pragmatical, they didn't care about having good grades to try. So today we have everything. We have people like that, oh, scared with programming. They know they don't like it, but they don't want to give up. That's it. So we have, but some change course, others continue that and go. Because they are good students. It's just a question of working hard for them. Yes.
We have many
Dropouts? Only a few. Only a few. Yeah, so the point is in Portugal we have, so in this course in Compute we have 117 students allowed to enter. And those, the smaller grade is 178 out of 100. But we have exceptions. If you live in one island, for example, Azores or Madeira, so you are somehow isolated from the continent, we have special cases for them. And we have special cases for countries that are from Africa, for example, that have some relationship with Porto and so on. So we have several exceptions, and those exceptions sometimes are like 50 students. So this year it was 50 students. So we have 1/3, 2/3 normally with these very high grades, and 1/3 can happen anything. So those sometimes drop out. Yeah.
always have to win.
Yes. I think from the 150, 160 that members, we have 120 at the end. So there are some dropouts, but not really important.
One of our business is you work out. Well, you try to, you don't have to.
Yeah. If you survive first semester, you are okay. If you survive first year, you are okay, because that's a lot of mathematics. 5 mathematics in out of 10. So you are okay. Sorry? Yeah. But yeah, so the thing I'm not concerned, but it's not optimal is to lose these students with engineering mindset that for some reason are not able to. Okay, so we teach Scrum, of course, here, so that's the base of this course. And the practices with both names. And these are the first year we did these projects with social entrepreneurs. It was a huge experience. and it was really awesome to see. So we organized students in 20 teams. Each team has one social entrepreneur as a customer, and they need to interact as you do here, so that they have at the end a prototype that impacts the world somehow. We have a partner, we are the technological partner, we have a partner on social impact. So the only thing they do is to teach people about social integration. So we somehow assess if the project is technically doable in 12 weeks by the students. They assess if the impact is really true or just fake. Because sometimes we say it will have social impact, but bullshit. Yeah, it will not have. They saw this before. So the roles they play, we have social entrepreneurs being product owners, development team are students. There's one of them that will be Scrum Master. The teachers will be coaches. And we also have some students of the other course on the Agile methods, specific on Agile methods. They will do the assessment and we will coach as well. So once we add this practice, the students of FEUP, they evolve a lot, because it's not the teacher saying you can do this, it's their colleagues. They know, because it's just one year. Yes?
So, you have about 50 students.
Yeah.
How many professors?
2. Where? Sorry. Here? 50 students.
Teachers.
So these are 2 courses. So here we have 50 students, 2 professors. Here we have 120, 140 students, and we have 5 professors.
I have just myself.
Yeah.
I have my TA.
You're the champion.
Oh my God.
That's a good thing.
No!
Yeah.
Too many students.
You can go to Porto and help us. How many students you have?
This year, 54.
54. 1 person.
And I have a TA.
Yes. Okay, so that's the same thing.
However, what we have here, the students can follow the course 3 times. 1 as undergrad and 2 as graduate students. So some of the students already took the course once or twice. So these students can help me a lot. They're the coaches.
Yeah, it's somehow, the topics here are similar to these ones. These build projects, these know more details about fine-tuning processes and so on. So somehow they help each other, but they have similar knowledge, but just different experience. So this is the dashboard. It's not gamification, but it's a dashboard. Today, this year is even more complex. But we have iteration 0, they should do this and so on and so on. So it's a kind of checklist. We have OKs or some things we have 0 to 10 grade. And we specify what is level 0, what is level 10, and so on. So it's kind of guidelines so that students know what they need to do in iteration 0 and in iteration 1 until iteration 4 and so on and so on. Once we add this, and everybody, and here we have the name of the teachers, and here we have the name of the projects. So everybody is seeing the grades of everybody. And this is Google Docs. So when I go there, I was here. Yes, I was here. So when I go there and evaluate my students, all the others see if I'm late doing this. This is supposed to be done at the end of spring. If I'm late, all my colleagues know, all the students know. So a lot of transparency, and some colleagues don't like that. Okay. But students like that a lot, so because they add notifications. Once this file is changed in these columns, tell me. Google, tell me. So they know immediately. And they argue and so on. So the first weeks, usually they stress the teachers. So there's a lot of stress, teachers, students, right? But once you get in the mode, it's a breeze. Because you see the grade, you adapt immediately. I didn't have a 9. Should be a 10, and so on. They discuss with each other and so on, and they go. funny thing is, for example, here, let me see one practice. Yeah, I think acceptance tests. You see, it values 2% of the grade. The grade is 20, the percent is less than that, right? It's 0.4. So it's nothing. So this is 0.4. This 0.4 is evaluated from 0 to 10. So 1 point from 9 to 10 is 0.04. It's even less. Okay? They argue. Why? I should have a 10 here. Do you know what you need to do to go from a 9 to a 10? So you need to automate all tests in the interfaces. So you need to use user interface testing like Selenium, for example. You know? Use this. It's a lot of work for 0.04. Okay? But because they want to have maximum, they work hard. And some students, they are so good and they get so motivated. Sometimes they don't get that they should be at 30% at the end of all iterations. Sometimes they understand that in each iteration, including first, they should have the process already set. They work the first 2 weeks, they do all of this, which is a lot of work to automate everything first. But, oh, I thought it should be ready at the end of 2 weeks. No, you have all semester to do that. With all. So this dashboard, this year is even more complex. Not complex, it's more simplified in terms of interpretation. Because here we have 0, 10s, and that's a problem. So we have now a lot of okays. Okay, not okay. Stuff like that. And it helps us evolve a lot. So at the end, they know everything here and more. Because of the cloud, deploying to clouds, and so more details of DevOps. Yes.
It's for me, in my point of view, it's missing something to evaluate the code. Something to evaluate the code, the health of the code, kind of a metric, kind of code climate or something like that.
Yeah. We use this in second year. We use better code from. It's a tool from.
But not here.
No, we don't care here.
Why?
We want it to work, and that's it. So if they can hack the product and the product is not internally good enough, we should have built that spirit years before. We don't care during this semester.
Okay.
We build that on first semester, second semester, third semester, fourth semester, and fifth semester. After that, they should be professionals about writing good code. Of course, they will not use that code after. They should hand over that code. It's not present here. They should hand over that code to the client. So they should be professional. But actually, we are not evaluating here.
Okay, this is maybe the only difference that I noticed until now between our courses. On yours, you have kind of much more Scrum approach.
Yes.
We did kind of really XP approach. Quality is essential.
Yeah, we don't. In this course, we have technical soundness, as you see, and the maturity of the product, and how well they implement the features. So we don't assess the quality of the product. It's a good point too, but we don't do it in this course. This course is software development labs, so there are other courses on tests and so on, actually in the same semester. So they should bring the practices they want. We don't force them. You see?
We try to force because it's kind of the final course where now you are programmers. And this is why we try to enforce everything. But maybe it's too much. I'm not sure.
No. It depends on the other courses they have. So we have courses specialized on testing.
Well, it's kind of nice if you have that mindset early on.
Yeah.
So from the start, that's kind of.
But again, maybe it's too much.
Yeah.
You can ask for my students. There are a bunch of them here.
For example, the first struggle our students had in terms of code quality, internal both in mobility and so on, testing, bugs, mutations, completeness of the testing and so on, so coverage and so on. It is in second year, second semester. They say, why I don't have a 6 and I only have a 5? They need to go there because they have duplicated codes, and no tests for that duplicated code, and so on and so on. So they are forced to simplify the design and the code coverage with mutations and so on. It's fourth semester, second year. After that, we realize because we cannot assess everything all the time. That is good. So the main result of this course, software. Sorry.
You know what some technology.
Yeah.
This related to questions. I found that efficient velocity with the focus on the process. How do you do it? If they have lots of preparing.
Yes. So the first 3 years they know everything. So ask me for things because we taught them everything it is possible to ask for students in 3 years. So when they can give these projects, the only thing we force them to learn in these projects is new web frameworks, new mobile frameworks. So new things that year are somehow trendy because they will have only 1 more year to practice it. Because last year is the thesis, so thesis they don't have time to practice anything formally. So in the first 3 years we teach them everything. So programming languages like Python, artificial intelligence, how to design interfaces, computer graphics, databases, several types of databases. So many. For example, yeah, no, it is cool. So we are changing it now, but actually today in first 3 years we don't have all. We have distributed systems and so on, but very theoretical that you can migrate to cloud computing, but nothing with that. Yes. Exactly. So, but they did a lot, so sometimes it's too much. So they have 5 courses per semester. I don't know how many you have here in parallel.
4 to 6.
4 to 6, okay. So because in some schools in Porto they have 4, and 4 is good. We have 5. One of these 5 is a lab, so it's somehow more relaxed in terms of studying. But I know that in third year, it is the hardest year because they have a lot of work and a lot of difficult things to study, both intellectually and the time. So one big result about, I'm not controlling the time, but it's okay, almost okay, I'm closing. So one big result of these software development labs and working for social entrepreneurs that suddenly we evangelize 140 students on the power of technology to impact the world, to good and bad. So we continue on that line. And this is a kind of agile applied social work. The flagship course we have, Project Management Labs, it is after the software development labs with social entrepreneurs. Here, the big difference is that we are not evaluating the quality of the product, we are not evaluating the process, we are evaluating the results. It's management. And so it's like a gymnasium of confusion for the project. Okay? Sometimes confusion is natural because we have not social entrepreneurs that are fluffy, they are kind, são boa gente, bonzinhos, fofinhos, nós costumamos dizer e tal. So they care a lot about students. But in this semester, we have big evil companies They know a lot about tech, Deloitte, banks, big groups. They almost enforce students to do that thing, that time, that way, which is impossible. So they need to manage how to say no without saying no and so on, make everybody happy. To make this even more stressful. Stressful, well, demanding. The final presentation is in an auditorium with 500 people, including CEOs from those companies, and so on. So it's a lot of mess. To make it even more difficult, we don't have only engineers. We mix with people from design, so they do the presentation and so on. So if we order them, can you change the slide? They say yes. Tomorrow we have that slide changed because they don't use PowerPoint. They use InDesign, for example, or they use Illustrator. And can you change now? No. So you see, so there's a lot of things that is amazing for both designers and informatics. We have people from multimedia doing videos. So if you decide to change some feature in the video, but video takes some time to remake, to to produce the video itself. So to render, okay, that's the word. So it takes 1 hour to render, high resolution to present. So you see, no agility at all. Okay. So they need to balance this. And for big companies. So this is a gymnasium of project management labs, and it is the flagship course we have. So the students really remember this course for good reasons. So sometimes they cry. I'm laughing, but because it's so real that sometimes it's. But we force them to use a certain part of time because these are exceptions. I don't prior to it. But so that you feel that's really, really interesting for them. And some employers, they look at your project and your grades in this course. Because at this moment you are a ground engineer. So you know to do everything. You know how to go from an idea to a project, to a complete product. And you know how to collaborate with all these kind of people. So the management and soft skills is really good. So this is in the course. What we about Agile? Why? So Agile here is, of course, the mindset is Agile. Are they using Agile? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. They know how to. So I don't sell Agile. I sell. You have also Agile, okay? And they need to do it. And because of Agile was working, we decided to teach Scrum and Agile way, this mindset, we don't call this name, to kids. So we have this university junior. It's a interesting activity in all university. So if you have between 10 years old and 17, you can enroll courses during summer in anything that university has, medical, and also engineering, biology, or everything. Degrees is everything, and also engineering. So in engineering, we have several offers. One of them is to teach one kid to start programming in 1 day with Python. That's how we do. With Raspberry Pi, with Relax, and things blinking. Not only things like this, okay, but when they see something blinking, they wow, okay, which is like 0 to 1. It's as simple as that. But can you make it blink 3 times? And they do the program. It's okay. It seems that it's working. So let's test it with the lab there. When they see the lab blinking, wow, it's so exciting. So it's much more exciting than to see codes running and printing. And also for adults, by the way, we are teaching this for parents as well. So anyway, so we call this tangible computing or programming because you feel it, you see it. And this is the first course, and the last course in terms of age is a hackathon. So they have 1 week where they arrive. So 14 students, they arrive. They divide in groups of 3. They have an idea to use technology to program, They don't know nothing. They don't know about programming. They don't know about electronics. They don't know nothing. Okay? They don't know how to go from one idea to something concrete. And during the week, they use iterations every morning, every afternoon. So that's the process of the innovation and ideation as well. And once they start, they have 5 iterations. So 5 offers where they have a backlog. Then one of them is the client. They start, oh, maybe we can do this. Remember, they have 15 years old, okay? And with 15 years old, some of them are very mature, and others are very childish. Yes. So we saw many discussions. So they manage the scope, the backlog, and they deliver something. They should deliver on first releases. So every morning, every afternoon, they have a release. But a real one is Thursday afternoon, so that can do a video Friday morning and go home with something that can show to the parents, to the others, in YouTube, with a name and so on. So they do all this stuff. And what we do here, we use Scrum and not XP. But we force them to code together. So we do a little of this for kids. And it's working very well. So the episode that took impressive more was I received a call. So Friday night, I received a call. Ademar, congratulations. Why? My grandson was at your activity. I didn't know it was the grandson. And the guy is the director of the research center. So that person is not from informatics, but he was. He's the director of that thing. And he was impressed by things the kid did during all the week. I didn't know. So I didn't know. Anyway, it worked well. And he was impressed. And after that, we are doing more and more. And it's very interesting to see the happiness of the kids having something to do. In terms of community, well, because of the community I came from, as I told you, patterns, we have a lot of people doing Agile, like Joe here and Alfredo. So the first time we saw each other, it was in club conferences, right? Maybe there's no coincidence on that. So we started organizing Agile Portugal. Joe was our external co-founder of this because I started the idea with my colleagues. It was an international conference for the Portuguese, without money, without will, without feeling need to go abroad to know more about Agile. So we designed this, and we invited many people. Joe helped me a lot in the first years, and even today. We invite big names to go there. So we had very big names there. There's a website.
Yeah, he's telling the whole story. Really, after I went my first time to Portugal, he told me about this great festival there's one. I wanted a motivation for going there, so I was like, I want to help. Let's organize it. Agile Portugal around this festival this long. Beautiful place to.
Yeah, and we attract people to go there, and it worked out. So
the first few were right around the festival, right before, right after.
Which was a plus and a minus because there's a lot of people in town. But we were able to start with 100 people, 200 this year. It was like 400 people, only Portuguese. We started 3 years ago receiving people from other countries as well because Portuguese is trendy, so they fly their ship. They want to hire our students, kind of thing. But many other reasons. But we started this and it succeeded very well. One of the clubs, very special, I'm working with Joe as well. Joe is here trying to eat all
famous cuisine.
You know Francinhas?
Yeah. In Porto, that's very famous. Everybody's fighting over who has the best.
We should cook here Francinhas.
Yeah, it's a heart attack.
It's a 3,000 calories sandwich. Maybe 2,000. Can be more, depends on what's very low. But you feel good after. You feel that you need to go home.
We have a good picture kit back sweating from over there.
Yeah, we have Kent back sweat. I don't have that picture here. But at Scrum Club, we write patterns about Scrum. So you see the mix of Agile and Scrum. And these days it was in Denmark, and now we use this close to Porto, a wine farm where we can drink a lot and drive a lot. So more and more people came to Porto in terms of Agile. Also, many startups started influencing and projects with Agile. And this year we had XP, I was the general chair of this. This year we were able to bring Kent back. It was not easy, but he was there. He was impressed with community, and I think he enjoyed, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was amazing.
Especially your over.
So at the end, me and others that helped me, this was many people, maybe 50 people work. We started from nothing, probably like here, and step by step, incrementally, we start transforming the mindset of people. The first innovators, the early adopters were the industry, small cap companies, then bigger companies, then the faculty, so the university was the third, okay? That's a very important aspect. And then we spread to community with this Agile Porto and so on, and now it's a plus. So this last week, for the first time, I heard someone from my group saying, Ademar and the other colleagues, Hugo and so on, we recognize that actually you helped change the ecosystem here around, because not only me, of course, it was the world as well. But there are many people, startups around that are using Agile, that hire out students, also influence companies. So many students just go out of companies because they are not Agile. So if you want to hire these students there, your company should be Agile, not to do Agile. That's a very small detail they are able to recognize because they had already 2 years of this in their course. So just nothing new, just something they don't know how to do. So, old bottles, new bottles. Traditional ways of learning and assessment might be impediments to effective pedagogical methods because if you do the same way, it's hard. Like in industry, we can do this in higher education. The delivery of rapid delivery of real business value can be easily achieved even with students. So these students, they produce these projects I was evaluating. So each one of these 20 projects has an economical value of 10,000 euros. Okay? Considering that they are working 10 hours a week, 8 people during 12 weeks, and considering that they only have a salary of 1/3 of the normal salary in the market. So actually, these social entrepreneurs receive something that if they need to pay, will cost 10,000. That's big money. They don't pay nothing because this is problem. If we want to teach them team-based work or learning, it's important to have teams, and we have teams, like you have here. Here we are even better because we have rules for them. We don't have to spread somewhere, and so on and so on. Yeah, this is in the Bible. And of course, we don't practice these new bottles, new wine new bottles, because we have new wine to old barrels. But that's the trick of port wine. You know, for every rule there's an exception. Port wine is a good exception. So I'm open for questions after 2 hours of speaking.
Not so much. Okay, thank you. Do not be shy. You can even try to say.
I understand Portuguese as well, okay?
Yeah. How do you select the team?
So it is something the parents decide. You should go to engineering to do this. Sometimes it is students that push each other. What I found as a pattern, I see patterns everywhere. As a pattern is they want to try engineering before deciding to apply for engineering. So they go direct with 15, with 16, and many of them return, and now I know them as students. So I don't select them. They just enroll. If you want to enroll, you need to apply in the first half an hour because it's good. Not only my courses, every course in this German university is so well known now in the country that there are people coming from everywhere to that. Because we offer space for you to stay, food, and so it's like a summer camp, but in a
This seems like a good thing. That's good. Agility only because lots of people is using maybe the original concept or the original concept and just selling the certification.
yes.
All the students. Even so, certification is not original guide and manufacturer something like this with some of the original people that signed it saying that, well, it's still the true. Ignore true. What do you think?
I think both are important. So I started with XP, eventually. So because I'm a programmer, I like technology, startup. Year after year, I learned that XP is hard to adopt by every team. The spirit of XP, which is Agile or whatever we call this, can be good also at the management level of people working together. So, and then Scrum. Scrum has simplified over the years to help a group of people trying to work as a team to go work together and release often. Can be software or not. When you combine both, it's powerful.
Yeah, you can combine it.
You should combine both. Yes. So you can combine both.
Yeah,
But do you need
combine
Scrum? Sometimes you don't need Scrum at all. Yeah. Just Kanban or something else.
both.
That's why, so in these courses, I'm trying to not tell them this is the best thing you can do in life.
So are all the teams self-organized? They pick who they work with, or do you?
Okay.
Okay.
So in the software
and they pick their methodology as well, or the technologies, or all those.
So we have two courses. The course of software development labs, it's mostly about the process. That dashboard you saw, it's about process. So they somehow they are in the same room because they enroll in the same schedule. That's it. And we force them to just make teams. They go and
they make their own teams.
So it's the team formation is organic. Okay? They decide. In project management labs, no, we force the team. So we know the past of the students. We know that I was working with Joe and Alfredo always doing assignments together.
Yeah.
We break everything. So we know the past, so we break that. Okay. We also have a special magic potion or grid that forms the team so that we have a leader, we have many followers, because if all leaders follow the same team, the others will lose.
Sure.
So we have a dog. It's a special psychological formula based on your personality. That has been working. But when you land in this project management labs team, you don't know anybody that you have been working before. Although you know everybody because you are getting together for years. But actually you didn't like or you didn't have the chance to work with those people before. That creates tensions and sometimes it's really hard to do. So every year we have paired team, paired company. We force them to spread in 5 companies like startups, big startups. Each startup has 4 projects. So in each startup we have usually 2, 3, 4 cases that you need to handle like complicated job, explain your problem, do like personal coaching, not agile coaching, it's personal coaching. Be very, but it's learning for that person.
I would like to for communication.
Right?
Quais foram os principais desafios e dificuldades que enfrentaram no início? Tornar a agilidade e a aprendizagem I would like to
In Portuguese?
thinking.
Okay. So the main challenges we felt it was.
So what was the question?
Okay, sorry. So the question which were the main difficulties we had in the beginning of the process, so to start the ball rolling, and the difficulties we still feel today. So, yes, sorry. Thank you. You don't know enough Portuguese to understand this question, right? Not yet. We need to work on that. Anyway, so in the beginning it was to swim against the current. And the current was my column. So once I had this, my column is not all of them, but you know, those that decide which courses we can offer in the master program. That's it. So the directors of the course and scientific course of the course. What the hell is that? That's how they say. That's people relaxing. They don't are engineers. They like to hack. They don't like to think. They like to know and observe what they did. So this empirical way of controlling projects because thought as relaxed people. They simply don't like to think very well. They just want to sit and do something. Okay? When this is a very important skill to provide, and so on, it's a very important skill. But there are things that you can't anticipate. You can't close yourself for 1 year. At the end, you have a good plan, but it was not the right plan. So you need to change the plan the day after. So you need another year to plan. So that's stupid, right? You know that plan. So that was the mentality, it was the biggest challenge. Once I get this, my course, 2005, I can do whatever I want. So it was just evolve, and students start enjoying it a lot. So what's happening? And then we see this spread more. So now, in my software engineering research group, we are like 12. 8 of us are pro Agile. So the other 4 are still CMMI. CMMI has Agile, by the way. PMI has Agile, by the way. So everything is Agile today. So it helps a lot. So, and those 4 still have this mindset. So today what we feel is this is mainstream. So Agile is mainstream. There are many people doing Agile, but not being Agile outside. So how can we train students to do that? Because even at the dashboard, we force them to do Agile. We hope that by doing Agile often, they will start feeling what they need to do to be Agile. So, but I believe that from practice, you create the spirit, if that makes sense for that person. So we don't force anybody, but the world is forcing many situations to be Agile. Yes. Yes. So in this Agile Methods course, in 5th year, every year changing, which is hard. So every year change the materials. Why? Because the world advanced. Many of them are curious enough outside the course, so they study everything. So when they get there, it's something like the course, they should be happy with what they have. So that course, I position myself, me and the professors, as the dean, development dean, and they are product owners. So they are my clients. They know what they want. I know how to do to make them learn that. So, and it's hard to have 50 product owners and to develop things, sometimes it's hard. So I adapt a lot from year to year. And also during the year, I have something that we start that is agreed by everybody. But there's a section which is we decide. So basically we have a backlog of topics and where is people is more happy, where is more happiness around this topic.
So thank you again.
Okay. Esse encaixe, né? Claro. Beleza.